Yo, what it do, YouTube? It's your boy MB, ready to break down the best play of the entire week for the S&P 500 on the futures market. So this trade was an absolute monster of a setup, so I wanted the production and quality to be slightly better. And so I've got my handy-dandy Google Word document just to highlight my thoughts before I actually get into the actual setup. So I've got 3 goals when it comes to making these videos. Number 1 is to show you setups that are super obvious to take. I try to show you trades that I actually took, and if I happen to have missed the setup, I'll still show you the best setup of the week. That way we don't miss it in the future. Number 2 is to show you trades that are low risk, and so you're buying in at bottoms and you're selling at tops. So you're just not risking much money. But then number 3 is also high reward. So these are plays that are going to be offering, over $1,000. And because these setups are happening once a week, this is the only trade you're taking. That's an extra $4K a month. And so very good side money. And so this week's setup is the Wyckoff distribution. Schematic number 1. So there's 2 versions of the Wyckoff distribution pattern. So I'm going to show you the breakdown. But to set the tone, I know I said that these setups are super easy and obvious where even a beginner can recognize them. And you definitely could if you just looked at the chart. But if you have context going behind the trade, it's just going to make your life a whole lot easier. And the reason that this trade was so good was because you knew exactly when it was going to happen. And so it came on Wednesday, May 1st, 2024. And there were a few different news catalysts that were important this day. But the main one being the FOMC decision at 1 p.m. Central Time. So there was news at 9. We had the ISM manufacturing PMI and the JOLTS job opening. And I'm not going to break down these catalysts. All you have to worry about is that at 1 p.m., it was the catalyst that the whole market was waiting for. And so usually before this news event, you'll see us trade in a range and it'll be just choppy until this news drops. So now let me break it down for you. All right, so I've got the 5-minute chart pulled up to where you can see the overnight session. And you can see that before the news event at 1 p.m., we were just in this range. And so we hit the top of the range, we found the bottom. And then during the market open, we were kind of just chopping around. And then at 1 o'clock, we got our decision. So news was good. The market really liked it. We still rejected that pre-market area initially before finally breaking above it. And I'd like to say that, it was an easy trade where you could have taken a break and retest to go long. But unfortunately, this wick came all the way to the bottom a few different times before finally pumping up to the upside. And I was on a 5-minute chart, and to be honest, it kind of sucked because I wanted to take this long. And so I felt like I missed the move. But then I noticed immediately on this red candle here that something was off. It just looked like we were setting up for some type of manipulation whenever we got this close, and then this green candle ended up making a new high. So as soon as this candle ended up closing, I went straight to a 1-minute chart to see if I could recognize anything. And lo and behold, it just started to look like this distribution pattern. So I was on a 1-minute chart. I see that we bounced off of the 9-moving average and got a close above it. And then I took it a step further and went to a 3,000 tick chart and started to see if I can notice the key levels more clearly. So as this chart was forming, I started to annotate this chart based off of the schematic. So I'm going to switch my screen over. And here's the actual distribution pattern. And so you have these markers that indicate what's going to happen. And so you can see that the chart was kind of doing it to a tick. And so we have our PSY, our AR, our ST, our BC, our SOW, our UT. And the reason I stopped writing was because I was looking for my entry. And so I texted my team saying, hey, I think this pattern is starting to form. And then around 2 p.m., we started to form this bull flag pattern. And at the exact same time, if you look at the Bookmap, some sell orders started to appear right as we started to break out and form this new high. So I'm going to play this in 2x speed. And so here's the same chart. And so basically you have these orders that are, sitting up here. They're limit orders. And once they get executed, they become market orders. And so right now price is at 51.14. So if I go back to the trade of 8, 51.14 is like down here. So we're kind of just chopping in this range and we're just grinding up higher and higher. And so I'm going to let this thing play out and kind of give you my thoughts. So it's playing, we're dropping down. Let me see if I can fast forward this a little bit. So now we're at 18. You can see these orders starting to appear here. They're yellow, so that means there's some orders up here, but now they're becoming orange. So right at 51.20. And so the darker it gets, the more orders there are up there. There's some sell orders sitting up here. So basically, whenever they get executed, there's basically people trying to short the market, whether that be institutions, retail traders, whoever it is. People have orders up here to short the market. So we're dropping down because there's some selling pressure. And here we go. So it starts to make its way up right at 51.20. So big buy order comes in there. And then right here at 51.25, lots of sellers just sitting up there waiting to be executed. And so that's when I was like, okay, I started to notice the bull flag forming. So we pulled back, and then we basically are spiking right into that liquidity area. So I'm going to like draw a little. So essentially what happened is that we approached this area where sellers were sitting, and we got rejected. So it was just the supply area off of this Wyckoff distribution pattern. And so what ended up happening was we approached that area where the sellers are, and we couldn't get above it. And, look at that. Look at all those orders just appearing. As soon as we, look, they just keep appearing. It's still there. So we just can't get above this 51.25 level. And so what ended up happening was we formed a bull flag. We have a support level right here. So I'm going to bring this up. We form a bull flag. And so you want to see us bounce off of the support level and keep going to the upside. But we ended up breaking it and invalidating this bull flag. So now we have a support level that becomes rejected. And so I ended up getting short here because I saw all those sellers. So I had top ticked this thing really nicely. And then we dropped about 10 points. And then we actually retest this previous support level. So you honestly could have entered in here at 208 or again here at like 214. And you would have still caught the very top of this move. So even at 51.20 or 21.5, if you had a 5-point stop loss, you can see that we never approached that area again. And we ended up selling off pretty hard. So from right here at 51.20, we dropped about 70 points to the downside. And so if you look at the Wyckoff pattern, you could say that it's not finished until it retraces the entire move. So if I go back to the FOMC candle, you can tell that we actually went all the way back down to the pre-market lows. So even if you missed the entries, the short at the top, you actually could have taken a long here at this support level. I did take this long for a 10-point move to the upside, and then you could have taken another short, somewhere in this area. This one was a little bit harder to see, but then you actually could have taken this short down here once we broke this support level and then retested it. So I took this short as well here at the end of the day. So I played this like an absolute fiddle. It was so obvious that it was playing out. I didn't catch the entire move to the downside, but I did catch a few of these moves. So something I still have to work on is believing what I see. And you can call this a bunch of different patterns. It's a head and shoulders. You have our head, shoulder here, shoulder there, a bunch of different patterns. But I see a Wyckoff distribution, and it keeps playing out over and over again. And then on top of that, it's just very typical for the market to have a very strong rally. Just for it to sell off and retrace the entire move, it's like the market doesn't want you to make money. So like people that buy options here, hoping that we're just going to keep pumping for the rest of the day, the market makers just like to take their money. So if people get greedy and they don't sell up here, it's going to make you pay by going all the way back down. You'll probably end up losing money if you got long somewhere in here. So that's just how the market works. It's all a bunch of manipulation, and it's our job to recognize that manipulation and be on the same side as big money. So very easy to spot. You just have to know what you're looking for. I knew instantly that after we sold off that this was going to be the best play for the entire week. So great setup. Hopefully we have something similar next week. But until then, I'll catch you on Monday when I do the daily breakdown. I love you.